Smoke filled the sky. The forest was no longer quiet. Explosions shook the trees. Fire swallowed the tall grass. Animals ran for their lives. In the middle of this chaos, a human named Jacob stood still, holding his breath. He was not a soldier. He was a farmer from Earth. But today, he was not on Earth. He was on Zinarus, a wild alien planet. Jacob had come to Zinarus as part of a colonist team. Their mission was simple: build a peaceful outpost. But 2 days ago, war began. No one knew why. Strange alien ships came from the sky and started destroying everything. The humans ran. Jacob got separated from his team. Now he wandered the deep jungle alone, avoiding fire and flying drones. As he stepped over a burnt log, he heard a low growl. It wasn't far. He froze. Another growl, deeper, closer. Jacob crouched and carefully moved toward the sound, hiding behind bushes. His heart beat faster. What if it was one of those alien war beasts? Or worse, a drone scanning for survivors? Then he saw it. A large creature lay in the mud. Its fur was thick and black with patches of dark purple. It was shaped like a big panther, but with 4 glowing eyes and scales along its tail. One of its legs was badly injured, burned and twisted. Blood soaked the dirt. The beast was breathing slowly, in pain. But it didn't attack. Jacob stared. The creature looked like it could kill him with one swipe. But it didn't move. It just whimpered, weak, afraid, and something in its eyes. They looked sad. He didn't know why, but he felt bad for it. He stepped out from the bush, hands raised. "I'm not here to hurt you," Jacob said quietly. Even though he knew the beast wouldn't understand him, the creature growled, but weakly. It didn't get up. It couldn't. Jacob looked around. No drones in sight. No other sounds. He took a slow step forward. Then another. The beast didn't move. Its eyes followed him but didn't threaten. Carefully, Jacob knelt down and pulled out the small medical pack he had carried since the attacks began. He opened a canteen and poured water into a shallow metal lid. He placed it near the beast's head. To his surprise, the creature sniffed it, then slowly drank. "I guess you trust me a little," Jacob whispered. He cleaned the wound with water, ignoring the smell. The creature whimpered, but didn't resist. Then he applied the bandages. It took time, a lot of time. But the beast didn't lash out. It just lay there, breathing, hurting, but calm. Once finished, Jacob sat beside the creature and rested. The sun was setting. The forest glowed orange and red. They were still alone. "For now, whatever you are," Jacob said, "you don't deserve to die like this." He didn't know why he felt so connected. Maybe because he too was alone. Maybe because he saw pain in those 4 glowing eyes. Maybe he just didn't want to lose anyone else. That night, Jacob built a small shelter nearby. He kept the fire low and quiet. The beast didn't move much. It slept, sometimes twitching. Jacob stayed alert, but he wasn't scared anymore. Next morning, he woke to soft breathing beside him. The creature had crawled closer in the night. It rested just a few feet from his shelter, eyes closed but peaceful. Jacob smiled. "You're a stubborn one." He spent the day gathering fruit, boiling water, and cleaning the wound again. The beast allowed it. It even let him feed it by hand. 3 days passed like that. The war still raged in the sky, far away now. But in this small part of the forest, a human and a wounded alien beast lived side by side. Jacob named it Shadowfang. Then on the 4th day, he heard it voices, not human. Strange, commanding voices. He hid quickly. So did Shadowfang. Through the trees, he saw tall armored figures. They looked like royal guards. They searched the ground carefully. One of them knelt where Shadowfang had bled days ago. The alien touched the soil, sniffed the air, then shouted in a high-pitched tone. Another armored alien replied. They all began moving quickly, following the old trail. Jacob stayed hidden, but his heart sank. They were tracking the beast. And if they were looking for it, that meant Shadowfang was important. He looked at the creature beside him, now alert and watching the woods. "What are you?" Jacob whispered. Shadowfang looked back, then nudged his arm gently, as if asking for help. Jacob realized then, this was no normal animal, and someone powerful was looking for it. Jacob moved fast, packing his bag quietly. The forest was calm again, but he knew the peace wouldn't last. The strange armored aliens were close. They were hunting the beast, no Shadowfang. And now Jacob had a decision to make. He glanced at the creature lying nearby, weak but aware. Its wounds were healing, but not fast enough. Shadowfang couldn't run. "Not yet. You need more time," Jacob whispered. He scanned the area, planning his next move. He had to create a distraction. If the aliens followed the scent trail, he had to break it. He dragged his bag across the ground, smearing his scent away from their hiding spot. He crushed wild fruit and smeared it over leaves to confuse them. Then, he left fake tracks going deeper into the jungle. It was risky. If they found him, they might not ask questions. But Jacob couldn't leave the creature. Not after everything. Not when it had finally trusted him. Hours passed. He returned to find Shadowfang still in the same spot, breathing steady. The creature's large eyes followed him as he dropped beside it again, sweat on his face. "They didn't find you," he said, smiling. "Not today." He gave the beast water and rubbed its shoulder. The connection between them was growing stronger. Jacob didn't understand how or why, but Shadowfang seemed to feel it too. When he touched its fur, the creature purred softly like a giant cat. By the fifth day, Shadowfang tried to stand. It failed, but it tried again. This time, it stayed up. For 3 full seconds, Jacob grinned. "That's the spirit." Suddenly, a loud boom echoed from the north. Smoke rose in the distance. The aliens were still searching, and they were not far. Jacob decided to move them both. He tied thick vines into a makeshift sled. Carefully, he placed Shadowfang on it, whispering calmly the whole time. The beast didn't fight. It trusted him now. He dragged the sled through the trees, choosing the roughest paths the armored aliens would avoid. It was slow, painful, but step by step, he moved them deeper into the jungle. By night, they reached a waterfall. The sound of rushing water would help hide their tracks. Behind the waterfall, he found a small cave, dry, hidden, perfect. He made a fire and gave Shadowfang more fruit and water. The creature licked his hand. Its 4 glowing eyes blinked slowly. "You're welcome," Jacob whispered. Then he heard something. A sound, like a voice, but in his mind, not clear, not in words. Just emotion, pain, gratitude, confusion, trust. Jacob froze. He looked at Shadowfang. "Was that you?" The creature said nothing. But its eyes didn't look wild anymore. They looked intelligent. That night, Jacob dreamed strange things. He saw cities made of crystal, creatures in golden armor, a throne made of living vines, and a young alien girl with violet eyes weeping in the rain. Standing beside her was Shadowfang. He woke up in a sweat. The creature stared at him. And then, it spoke, not with its mouth, but inside his head. "You saved me." Jacob scrambled back in shock. "What?" "You saved me, human. Why?" Jacob stared at the beast. His heart thudded hard. "You can talk? Not like you. I speak with mind. You heard me because you touched my soul." Jacob could hardly believe it. He rubbed his face and laughed once, nervously. "This is too much." But the voice came again. "My name is Kalira." Jacob blinked. "You have a name?" "I am not a beast. I am royal guardian. I belong to Baroness Irza." Jacob's breath caught. "Baroness?" He suddenly remembered the tall armored alien searching the jungle. Their colors, their behavior. They weren't hunters. They were royal trackers. They weren't after a wild beast. They were trying to find a missing royal pet, or worse, a missing protector. You're her guardian? Jacob asked. Yes, I failed. I was wounded in the war. I ran to save her message. Then I fell. What message? The Baroness was betrayed. There is danger coming. I must return. But my body is weak. Jacob felt cold. Wait, are you saying there's more war coming? If I do not return, millions may die. Jacob stood slowly. He looked out toward the jungle. The wind carried the smell of smoke and metal. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. And somehow, this creature, Kalira, held the key to stopping it. I won't let them take you, Jacob said. Not until you're strong enough to walk. Kalira stared at him. Then slowly, she stood, shaky, but standing. I will walk, she said in his mind. Because now, I walk with you. Kalira limped slowly beside Jacob as they left the cave at sunrise. Her steps were shaky, but her body was healing faster now. Maybe it was the medicine. Maybe the bond with Jacob had done something. Either way, she was walking again, and Jacob stayed close. The path ahead was dangerous. They had no weapons, only a small knife Jacob had taken from the crash site, but they had the advantage of silence. The jungle around them was thick, filled with strange creatures and glowing plants. No drones were visible. No armored guards. But both knew the enemy was out there, searching. Jacob had many questions, but he stayed quiet for now. Kalira needed focus. Her large, furred body brushed through branches as she moved, 4 eyes scanning every shadow. She paused often, sensing danger Jacob could not see. She moved like a soldier, even with the limp. Finally, Jacob asked the one thing that burned in his mind. What kind of danger is coming? Kalira stopped. Her head turned slightly toward him. There's a rebellion in the outer systems. Hidden, growing. They killed the Baroness to hide it. Her death must not go unpunished. Jacob frowned. I thought you said she was betrayed. You didn't say she died. Kalira lowered her head. She gave her last command to me. I must return to the citadel and carry her final words to the council. If I do not, they will believe she died in battle, not murdered. Jacob felt cold. So this wasn't just about war. It was about a cover-up. A lie that would allow something worse to grow. But if the Baroness is dead, won't they kill you too? Kalira didn't answer for a moment. Yes, that is why I hid. That is why they are hunting me. Jacob looked up at the canopy. Sunlight broke through the leaves. A flock of glowing birds flew above, singing soft notes. You could have died out here, he said quietly. They would have won. You saved me, Kalira replied. And now, I must save others. They continued walking. Kalira pushed through pain, and Jacob helped her over rocky ground. Her strength returned slowly. The wound still bled sometimes, but she no longer collapsed. As night came, they made camp near a fallen tree. Jacob gathered wood. Kalira rested under the roots, watching the stars. Her mind voice was quieter now, distant. Jacob asked softly, Why did you let me help you? Because your heart was pure, he smiled faintly. That's a strange thing to say. Not strange, rare. That night, Jacob dreamed again. He saw the Baroness, this time tall, elegant, her robes flowing like smoke. Her eyes were deep, gold. She stood in a chamber filled with light, speaking to Kalira. Tell the truth, even if it kills you. He woke up sweating. Kalira was already awake. Her breathing was calm, but her eyes were locked on something in the trees. Jacob reached for his knife. Suddenly, a bright beam shot through the dark. A searchlight. Then another. Kalira growled low. They found us. Jacob grabbed his bag. Run. Too late. We fight. Before Jacob could respond, the ground shook. A ship landed just beyond the trees. It was sleek and dark, marked with red royal symbols. The ramp lowered, and armored figures stepped out. Kalira's fur. Rose, those are elite trackers. They answer to the High Council, good or bad. Depends on what they believe. Jacob didn't wait. He stepped out, hands raised. Wait, please don't shoot. The soldiers raised their weapons but didn't fire. One of them spoke in a sharp alien tongue. Then another stepped forward. This one wore a different crest, silver and red, shaped like a serpent. He spoke in broken Earth English. You are human. Why protect royal property? She's not property, Jacob said. She's Kalira. She has a message. The lead? Alien's eyes narrowed. You lie. The traitor is dead. No, she's alive, and she speaks through this beast. The alien's voice turned cold. That creature is a weapon, not a voice. Suddenly, Kalira stepped forward. Her 4 glowing eyes locked onto the lead soldier. Then her voice entered all their minds. Baroness Irza was murdered. I carry her final command. Let me speak, or you will carry her blood too. The soldiers froze. One of them fell to one knee. The leader hesitated, then slowly lowered his weapon. We must take you to the council, he said. Kalira nodded. Then let us go. With honor. Asterisk. The ship's door hissed shut behind them. Jacob stood beside Kalira as the alien craft lifted into the sky, trees shrinking below. His heart beat fast. He had never been inside an alien ship before. The walls glowed with soft red light. Strange symbols moved like water on the panels. The air smelled of metal and spice. Kalira sat quietly on the floor, still weak but proud. The soldiers gave her space now. No one dared approach her. They whispered among themselves, sometimes stealing glances at Jacob. A human standing beside a royal guardian. It was not normal. It was confusing, and in some eyes, dangerous. The lead soldier, called Commander Vex, stood near the cockpit. His face was unreadable. Jacob leaned toward Kalira. Where are we going? To the High Spire. It is the ruling seat of the system. They will listen, or we will fall. Jacob didn't like the sound of that. When the ship landed, they were met by more soldiers. The hangar was wide, filled with other strange ships. The walls rose high above them, lit with bright beams and banners marked with royal crests. Kalira walked slowly, head held high. Jacob followed. They entered a vast hall made of white stone and glass. At the far end sat a group of tall alien figures in flowing robes. Their eyes were glowing. Their faces were calm, but cold. The High Council. A voice echoed across the hall. You dare bring a wounded beast and a human to this sacred place? Commander Vex stepped forward. My lords, the Guardian Kalira survived the jungle war. She brings word from Baroness Irza. One of the robed council members narrowed her eyes. Irza is dead. Kalira stood firm. She was murdered. By your own. I was there. I heard her last command. I carry her truth. A murmur spread through the chamber. Some council members looked shocked. Others looked angry. Another voice spoke, deeper, older. If you truly carry her words, speak them now. Kalira took a step forward, then another. She closed her eyes. A beam of light rose from her chest, an energy pulse. In it formed an image, a memory. The Baroness stood, weak and bloody, speaking her final words. Those within this hall have turned against the throne. The rebellion is hidden among you. I name no names, only truth. Let Kalira deliver this warning. Let no lies rise from my grave. The image faded. Silence filled the chamber. Then chaos. Council members shouted. Some rose from their seats. One threw off his robe and shouted, lies! All lies! This beast is broken, and this human is a puppet. Guards surrounded them. Jacob raised his hands, ready to defend Kalira, but before anyone could move, Kalira's Eyes glowed brighter. Her mind voice echoed with force. I bleed for truth. I suffer for her name. And this human saved me when your world would have let me die. He is not a puppet. He is the reason you now face her truth. The hall grew still again. Then the oldest counselor stood. His voice was calm. The message is heard. The words of the Baroness will be verified. Until then, Kalira will be kept under royal guard. And the human shall be questioned. Jacob's heart sank. I'm not here to cause problems. I only wanted to help. The guard stepped forward. Kalira growled but stayed still. Do not fight. This is their way. Trust it. Jacob was led to a small chamber. Clean, bright, but locked. A single alien stood inside, tall, with sharp features and a silver eye. You are the human who found the beast? Jacob nodded. She found me too. Why did you help her? She was hurt. She needed help. That's it. The alien stared at him. You do not know what she is, what she means. You carry her future in your hands. Why? Jacob paused. Then said softly, because no one else would. The alien stepped back. For the first time, someone on this strange world looked at him not with fear, but with respect. Outside, in a separate chamber, Kalira lay under stasis light. Guards surrounded her, but none dared touch her. Inside her mind, she whispered to Jacob, "Thank you. You gave me time. You gave me hope." He closed his eyes and replied in silence, "I'm not leaving your side." 2 days passed. Jacob remained in the small holding room. Food came through the wall. Water dripped from a glowing spout. No windows, no sound from outside, just silence and time to think. He paced the floor often, wondering what was happening. To Kalira, had the council accepted her message? Or had they locked her away like some wild beast? Then, without warning, the door slid open. A young alien soldier stepped inside. His armor was blue, not red. His face was serious. You must come, the council calls. Jacob followed him through long glowing halls. He passed guards who now bowed their heads slightly. The same faces that once saw him as a danger now looked at him with quiet respect. They entered a wide chamber, smaller than the last one, but brighter. Kalira was there, standing tall. Her wounds were gone. Her fur glowed faintly under soft light. She looked stronger than before. And beside her stood 3 council members. The oldest one spoke. Human Jacob, you are summoned to hear the truth. Jacob stepped forward, unsure. The elder continued. We searched her memory. We confirmed her words. The Baroness Irza was betrayed. 3 council members are guilty. They will face judgment. Jacob felt a rush of relief. He looked at Kalira. She nodded. The elder looked at him again. But truth has a cost. Jacob's breath caught. What cost? The elder turned to Kalira. She is no longer just a guardian. She carries royal knowledge. Her bond with you breaks tradition. Some demand her exile. Others want her used for war. Kalira's eyes glowed bright. I am no weapon. I am no slave. Jacob stepped beside her. She deserves freedom. The elder's eyes narrowed. And you, human? What do you deserve? Jacob didn't flinch. Nothing. I didn't come for rewards. I came because it was right. For a moment, no one spoke. Then a younger council member stepped forward. She had soft purple skin and glowing blue eyes. Perhaps this is what we need. A new way, a new bond. The guardian chose him. And she lived because of him. The room shifted. The elder raised his hand. Let it be decided. Kalira will be granted full rights, as will the human. But neither may leave the planet without permission. The threat of rebellion still grows. Jacob nodded. Understood. The council dismissed them. Outside the chamber, Kalira and Jacob walked side by side down a quiet corridor. She moved with confidence now. The jungle pain was behind her. but her mind still echoed with tension. "They fear me now," she said. "Not for what I did, but for what I might become." Jacob looked up at her. "Then let them see what you really are." They were led to a royal guest suite. Unlike the cold cells, this room was warm, filled with light and art. A window opened to a garden. Alien birds flew through floating trees. Water moved in the air like silk. Jacob finally sat down. Kalira lay on a soft mat near the window. He asked quietly, "What happens next?" "The council will rebuild, but enemies hide in shadows. The war is not over." Jacob leaned back, staring at the sky. "You still want to fight?" Kalira answered slowly. "Not fight, protect. That is my purpose." He nodded. "Then I'll help you." She tilted her head. "Why always you?" Jacob smiled faintly. "Because no one else is." That night they rested. But their sleep was short. At dawn, alarms screamed. Kalira jumped up, eyes glowing. Jacob ran to the window. Above the city, a dark ship appeared, massive and black, shaped like a winged serpent. It fired beams of energy at the tower. Guards flew up to intercept, but the ship tore through them like smoke. Kalira growled, "It's them. The ones who killed Irza. They came to finish what they started." Jacob grabbed a small plasma pistol from the wall. "Then let's stop them." They ran through the halls. Smoke filled the lower levels. Civilians screamed. Council guards tried to push back the invaders, but they were losing. Kalira leapt into battle, moving like a shadow. Her claws sliced through enemy soldiers. Jacob followed her, shooting carefully, using cover. He was no hero, but he moved without fear. Together, they pushed forward, toward the heart of the attack. The final fight was coming. Asterisk. The palace trembled as explosions rocked the walls. Smoke filled the air. Soldiers screamed. Sparks rained from the ceilings. Jacob moved beside Kalira through the crumbling corridors, staying low, dodging falling debris. Enemy warriors in dark armor stormed the upper levels. They weren't ordinary rebels. These were assassins, elite and ruthless. Their armor reflected the same serpent mark from Kalira's vision. They had come for one reason, to silence the truth. Kalira pounced with fury. Her claws tore through their shields. Her body was light but deadly, glowing with the energy of her bloodline. Jacob moved behind her, covering her flanks, firing blasts when enemies tried to flank. His hands shook, but he didn't stop. Not now, not after everything. They reached the council chamber. The main doors were sealed, but something inside pounded. Against them, from the other side, they heard shouting. The council was still alive. "For now, we have to get through," Jacob said. Looking around, Kalira leapt up to a side wall and slammed her claws into the control panel. Sparks flew. The doors hissed and slowly opened. Inside, chaos. Council guards were cornered. 3 masked assassins stood over the remaining council members. One held a long blade to the elder's throat. Kalira growled and launched forward. Without waiting, she crashed into the center assassin. They both rolled across the stone floor, claws and blades flashing. Jacob ran toward the others. He raised his plasma pistol and fired, striking one in the shoulder. The assassin stumbled back. The elder ducked low, and a guard pushed him aside. Just in time, Kalira pinned her opponent, eyes burning bright. Her voice thundered in their minds, "Your lies end here." The assassin hissed, struggling, but she was too strong now. Too fast. Jacob tackled the last attacker before he could strike the young counselor. They rolled. The alien punched him hard across the jaw. Jacob groaned but grabbed a fallen weapon and fired at close range. The shot blasted the enemy back into the wall. Silence followed. The battle was over. Kalira stood in the middle of the chamber, blood dripping from her claws. Jacob leaned against the wall, breathing hard, face bruised, hands burned. Council guards moved slowly, tending to the wounded. The elder counselor stood and looked at Kalira. You protected the truth and saved the voice of our people. Kalira bowed her head. I was born to protect, but not alone. She turned to Jacob. Without him, I would still be broken in the jungle. Jacob looked at her, confused and sore. I'm just a farmer from Earth, he said, wiping blood from his lip. The young counselor stepped forward. Perhaps Earth has more than farmers now. Perhaps it has heroes. Jacob smiled faintly. Let's not push it. The elder counselor raised a hand. From this day, the name Jacob of Earth will be known to our people. And Kalira, royal guardian, will no longer walk alone. Outside, the sky cleared. The dark ship had crashed into the sea. The battle was won. Not just with strength, but with truth. In the days that followed, the story spread across the stars. How a wounded beast was saved by a human. How a forgotten guardian returned with the voice of a dead Baroness. How a war was stopped before it grew. And how a quiet man, who only wanted to help, changed the fate of a world. Kalira stood on a garden balcony, healed and strong again. Jacob sat beside her, sipping something warm from an alien cup. You ever think about going back to Earth? She asked through their mind linked. Jacob smiled. Sometimes. But then I look around, and it doesn't feel far anymore. Kalira tilted her head. Because you're needed here. He shook his head slowly. No, because I've already found my place. Kalira looked toward the twin moons rising in the sky. Then we protect this place together. Jacob leaned back in his chair, eyes half closed. Together. And so the beast that no one dared to touch, and the human who dared too much, stood side by side as guardians of peace. Not out of duty, but out of choice. And it was that choice that made the whole galaxy listen.